1. When designing a tourism management training program for adult learners, which principles should take priority? A. Ensuring all content is delivered through lecture based instruction. B. Connecting new concepts to learners' existing professional experiences. C. Focusing exclusively on theoretical knowledge without practical application. D. Limiting opportunities for peer to peer interaction. 2. Which evaluation method is most effective for assessing a trainee's ability to handle customer complaints in a tourism setting? A. Written essay examination. B. Multiple choice knowledge test. C. Role-play simulation with feedback. D. Self-assessment questionnaire only. 3. In curriculum development for tourism management certification, what is the primary purpose of conducting a needs assessment? A. To reduce the overall program budget. B. To identify gaps between current competencies and industry requirements. C. To eliminate hands-on training components. D. To extend the program duration unnecessarily. 4. According to adult learning theory, andragogy, adults are most motivated to learn when A. The content is mandated by their employer. B. They see immediate relevance to their job performance or problem-solving needs. C. The training is scheduled during work hours. D. The instructor has advanced academic credentials. 5. Which communication technique is most effective when providing constructive feedback to a tourism management trainee? A. Using vague generalizations about performance. B. Focusing only on negative aspects to drive improvement. C. Providing specific, behavior-based observations with actionable suggestions. Delaying feedback until the end of the certification program. 6. What regulatory compliance requirement must tourism operators typically adhere to regarding accessibility? A. Providing services only to able-bodied tourists. B. Ensuring reasonable accommodations under ADA or equivalent local regulations. C. Excluding accessibility considerations to reduce costs. D. Limiting services to specific demographic groups only. 7. When mentoring a new tourism professional, which approach demonstrates effective mentoring technique? A. Providing all answers immediately, without encouraging critical thinking. B. Using a questioning approach that guides the mentee to discover solutions. C. Avoiding regular check-ins to promote independence. D. Focusing exclusively on the mentor's own career experiences. 8. In a tourism management certificate test, which question type best assesses higher-order thinking skills? A. True-false questions about memorized facts. B. Scenario-based questions requiring analysis and decision-making. C. Simple recall questions about definitions. D. Questions with obvious answers. 9. What is the primary purpose of formative assessment in tourism management training? To assign final grades only. B. To provide ongoing feedback that guides learning and instruction. C. To rank students against each other. D. To replace all summative assessments. 10. Which adult learning principle suggests that training should be problem-centered rather than content-centered? A. Adults learn best through passive observation. B. Adults are motivated by immediate applicability to real-world challenges. C. Adults prefer theoretical knowledge over practical skills. D. Adults learn best in competitive environments. 11. When developing a tourism management curriculum, which element is essential for alignment with industry standards? A. Input from current tourism industry practitioners and employers. B. Focusing solely on historical tourism practices. C. Eliminating technology-related content. D. Avoiding updates to reflect current trends. 12. What communication strategy is most appropriate when addressing a diverse group of tourism trainees? Using complex jargon without explanation. Speaking in monotone to maintain formality. C. Adapting language, examples, and delivery to accommodate different learning styles and backgrounds. D. Presenting information in only one format. 13. Which mentoring technique helps build a mentee's confidence in tourism management? A, constantly pointing out mistakes without acknowledgement of progress. B, taking over tasks when the mentee faces challenges. C, celebrating small wins and providing incremental challenges. D, comparing the mentee unfavorably to others. 14. In tourism management certification testing, what is the purpose of using case studies? A, to fill time during the examination. B, to assess the ability to apply knowledge to realistic industry scenarios. C, to test only memorization skills. To make tests longer and more difficult arbitrarily. 15. Which evaluation method provides the most comprehensive assessment of a tourism professional's competencies? A, single multiple choice exam. B, portfolio assessment, combining knowledge tests, practical demonstrations, and reflective practice. C, attendance records only. D, peer popularity voting. 16. What is a key characteristic of effective learning objectives in tourism management curriculum? A, vague statements that allow for broad interpretation. B, measurable outcomes that specify what learners will be able to do. C, objectives that focus on instructor activities rather than student learning. D, outcomes that are impossible to assess. 17. When addressing regulatory compliance in tourism operations, which practice is most important? A, ignoring local regulations that seem inconvenient. B, maintaining current knowledge of relevant laws and implementing required policies. C, assuming compliance without documentation. D, following only federal regulations while ignoring state and local requirements. 18. Which principle of adult learning emphasizes that adults bring valuable experience to the learning environment? A, adults are blank slates, requiring complete instruction from scratch. B, prior experience should be disregarded to prevent bias. C, adults' accumulated life and work experiences serve as rich resources for learning. D, experience is irrelevant in professional certification programs. 19. In tourism management testing, what is the primary advantage of using scenario-based questions? They are easier to create than other question types. B, they assess practical application and critical thinking in realistic contexts. C, they require less time for trainees to complete. D, they eliminate the need for studying. 20. Which communication skill is most critical for tourism professionals when handling international clients? A, speaking louder to overcome language barriers. B, cultural sensitivity and adaptability in communication styles. C, using only English regardless of client background. D, avoiding nonverbal communication entirely. 21. What is the recommended frequency for providing feedback during a mentoring relationship in tourism management? A, only at the beginning and end of the mentoring period. B, regular, scheduled check-ins with additional feedback as situations arise. C, waiting for the mentee to request feedback. D, annual feedback sessions only. 22. When developing assessment criteria for tourism management certification, what principle ensures fairness? A, keeping criteria secret until after the test. B, using clear, transparent, and consistently applied rubrics aligned with learning objectives. C, changing standards for different test takers. D, basing assessments on subjective, personal preferences. 23. Which instructional strategy is most effective for teaching crisis management in tourism operations? A, lecture-only presentation of crisis theories. B, simulation exercises and tabletop scenarios with debriefing. C, reading assignments without discussion. D, avoiding the topic to prevent anxiety. 24. What is the primary purpose of continuing education requirements in tourism management certification? A, to generate revenue for training organizations. B, to ensure professionals maintain current knowledge and skills in an evolving industry. C, to punish professionals who achieved initial certification D. To create barriers to remaining certified. 25. In mentoring relationships, which behavior demonstrates active listening? A. Interrupting frequently with personal stories. B. Paraphrasing and asking clarifying questions to ensure understanding. C. Multitasking while the mentee speaks. D. Formulating responses before the mentee finishes speaking. 26. Which curriculum development model emphasizes continuous improvement based on assessment data? A. Static model that never changes once implemented. B. Cyclical model incorporating evaluation, feedback, and revision. C. Random approach without systematic planning. D. Model that ignores learner outcomes. 27. When creating multiple choice questions for tourism management certification, what makes a distractor, incorrect option, effective? A. Being obviously wrong to make the question easier. B. Being plausible enough that someone with incomplete knowledge might select it. C. Having no relationship to the question content. Using nonsensical language. 28. Which regulatory area typically requires tourism operators to maintain specific insurance coverage? A. No insurance is required for tourism operations. B. Liability insurance to protect against claims from injuries or losses. C. Only life insurance for operators themselves. D. Insurance requirements never apply to tourism businesses. 29. What is the most effective way to assess whether adult learners have achieved mastery in tourism management competencies? A. Single assessment at the beginning of training only. B. Combination of knowledge checks, skill demonstrations, and application in authentic contexts. C. Attendance verification alone. D. Self-declaration by the learner without verification. 30. Which communication approach is most effective when delivering negative feedback to a tourism trainee? A. Public criticism to motivate improvement through embarrassment. B. Generic statements without specific examples. C. Private, timely feedback using the sandwich method or focusing on specific behaviors and growth opportunities. D. Written feedback only, avoiding face-to-face conversation.